This is Rose Buckle, and I'd like to get the AzNA Chapter 5 meeting to begin. And then I'd like to start by taking a few minutes for a quick roll call to get to know who's really attending this meeting. Just state your name and place of work or where you live. Rose Buckle, I live in Dewey, and I work at the Prescott VA.
Kimberly Wohead, Kimberly Wohead, I live in Prescott, and I'm a student.
Hi, everyone. Glad you could come on the Zoom meeting. I'm Carol Stevens. I'm the current past president of AzNA and also the current secretary of the AzNA PAC, Political Action Committee. And I'm retired, a retired nurse who used to work at ASU for many years teaching. And so enjoying my time in retirement, but doing a lot of AzNA work.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
I'll go next. I'm Colleen Hallberg. I currently chair the AzNA PAC. This is my third year, and my term goes for another year after this one. I am a retired CNO. I worked for Banner for 25 years and graduated. I did graduate from Good Sam, which is now Banner University Medical Center. I was the chief nurse there for 7 years and also in other Banner hospitals.
Okay, so I just wanted to inform everyone, thank everyone for taking the time to attend this evening, and those who are not able to attend, we will be videotaping this meeting, and we will post a copy of the videotape to our website for all to access, okay? And I'll start by saying, as you are all aware, the world of professional nursing practice and health policy is ever evolving to meet our new dynamics of care needs and in every work setting, especially during this pandemic work setting. And I looked up, according to the U.S. of Labor Statistics, there are approximately 3.0 million registered nurses in the United States, believe it or not. And the ANA literature also points out that as a profession, RNs tend to hold the trust of the population. Such professional public presence allows the nursing profession to have a unique opportunity to lend their expertise in influencing policy at all levels of government and to truly take charge and make a difference in the policy arena. As a result, I am delighted to announce that the two of our Northern Arizona chapter RN members are running for the Arizona State Legislature this year. This is Dr. Selena Bliss, RN from the Northern Arizona Legislative District, District 1, Yavapai County, and it's running for the Arizona House of Representatives. And Felicia French, RN from the Northern Arizona Legislative District 6, Coconino County and other rural sections of Northern Arizona, is running for the Arizona Senate. To talk about how we, as a chapter, can support electing these two candidates, our chapter has invited the chair, Ms. Colleen Hallberg, and the secretary, Ms. Carol Stevens, from the AzNA Political Action Committee to discuss the purpose and the principles followed by AzNA PAC, allowing us to endorse RN candidates and for political offices and influencing legislation impacting our professional issues. This is where, as a member of AzNA, you can make your RN voice count for you and for all of us. Okay. Now, Ms. Colleen Hallberg and Ms. Carol Stevens, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. We're delighted to be here, and we know you have a big membership spread out over a large geography, and we'll get you materials so that you can share in any way that works for you. It is so exciting to think that our 2 nurse candidates are in your chapter. And, you know, when we realized that, because we looked at all the districts that were within each of AzNA's chapters, you've got a big space to cover, and you have the 2 nurses. So that got our wheels spinning. And right away, the board said, we need to work with Chapter 5 and help them help Selena and Felicia. So we have some ideas, and we want to have just a little dialogue in a minute about what are your ideas and how can we help and how can we work together. But I thought maybe we should start just very quickly. We'll talk about the PAC, what it is, what is the difference between the PAC and AzNA, where is the line drawn, what do we focus on, what does AzNA focus on, and I think you'll see that we're just so well aligned. So the purpose of the PAC, this is on my screen now. I don't know if it's on your screen. Yes, but I hope it is. The purpose of the PAC is to endorse candidates. And we endorse them based upon AzNA's public policy agenda. So every year or two, the agenda that is coming out of the legislature or should actually enter the legislative process is defined by AzNA. And there's a really important health policy committee run by Denise Gibson this year. And that committee reviews legislation, writes legislation, and we're very aware in the PAC of what that is and what's going on. So our job is to not write that policy. It's not to create it. It's not to lobby for it. Other people do that. Our job is to make sure the right person is in the seat, in the House and the Senate. The right person meaning somebody that's supportive of nursing and also supportive of specific legislation that we think is either going to come up or is actively on the floor. We are communicating in a number of ways, and we're just increasing our social media presence. Carol's got a list of our website, our Facebook, Twitter. The activity on these sites is pretty new for us. We did a little bit 2 years ago in 2018, and we're finding, especially now in the pandemic, this is the only way to communicate, in addition to the phone, as Carol will share. But these are our social media avenues, and we do raise money as a PAC. We do 2 things with our money. We give some of it to our candidates that we endorse because they need it. And we favor our nurses. I'll say it right there. We also put money into the technology of being on our website, Facebook, Twitter. And so we've contracted with a really savvy social media person, Neva Farmer, who, those of you that read the Arizona Republic, she was a headliner today on the front page, talking about burnout and the need for support from an emotional perspective. So I'll go to the next slide and just very quickly, the structure. We have an executive committee made up of Carol and Robin Schaefer and myself, and then we have committee chairs for endorsement and elections, and that's the one that's so active right now because we're endorsing right now. Campaign support, this is led by Jamie Ambrose. Jamie her job is to activate Chapter 5 and also, excuse me, and also other parts of the state so that people can get those yard signs and those calls being made. Fundraising is Leslie, Kelly, and Allie, and then communications is Carol and Neva. So we use our structure to really do our work. Let's go to the differences between AzNA and the PAC. And there may be a few things I still need to cover. So AzNA advances the profession, does the health policy, and has a board of 7 directors. The PAC endorses, and we do that every 2 years when there's an election. Of course, that's this year. And then we help our candidates use our name. A lot of candidates are really interested in the endorsement of nurses, more so than ever, because we are all over the media with our role in the health crisis. Our work is overseen by our PAC board. We can go up to 12 members. We have 8 right now. And here are some of our activities. In a year like this one, I think we had 180 people that decided they were going to run for office. Some of them were incumbents and they were going to try to get elected again, but many were new. There are so many interested nurses and other healthcare people that are interested in running. Not nurses, sorry, other healthcare professions such as respiratory therapists and pharmacists, as well as loads of teachers. So there were many new candidates, and we screened and interviewed the new candidates to see what are they made of? What do they think? What do they believe? Are they supportive? Do they have a chance of winning? Once we did those interviews, we then review all the incumbents who were in office now and also last year. We reviewed their voting records. And we discussed, are they supportive of nursing and healthcare or not? And then we had a lengthy meeting with a big discussion about all of the non-incumbents, the newbies, and the current legislatures. And one by one, we decided whether or not they would get our endorsement right now for the primary election. Now, Selena and Felicia, they got a leg up. We endorsed them months ago because we want them to use our name as nurses, and we also want to work for them, which is where Chapter 5 comes in. So that emphasis is extremely important. A couple of years ago, we questioned with each of AzNA's chapters, which legislative districts are in each of our chapters. And although the lines aren't clean, here are the chapters with the LDs, we call them, that are in your area. And I'm going to ask Carol to talk through this and then show a couple of things on the map.
Okay, I got to unmute myself. All right, thanks, Colleen. So basically, Chapter 5 covers 4 different legislative districts: 1, 5, 6, and 7. And I'll show you some maps to illustrate that. But, and I hope that most of you know what legislative district you are in. If you do not, you should search that out. And all you have to do is Google what legislative district am I in, and it'll ask you your zip code and you will find out. But basically, legislative district 1 is most of Yavapai County and just a little bit of northern Maricopa County. And that is where Selena is running and lives. She lives in legislative district 1, which is Prescott, a little bit of Flagstaff, I think, and just south of Prescott, all of those rural communities in there. I think it goes down to New River, and that central corridor along I-17. If you are in legislative district 5, you're in northwestern Arizona, which is La Paz County and Mojave County, which is way on the California Nevada border. Okay, so you're in LD5, and you would not be voting for Selena or Felicia because you're not in their district, at least in the primaries. Okay, Now, if you're in LD6, that's Coconino, Yavapai, Navajo, and Gila, and that's Felicia's legislative district. And I'll show you that on a map. And that's mostly Page in that area. LD7 is Northeastern Arizona, which is the reservations, you know, way up there in Ganado and the Coconino. It's a little bit of Coconino, a little bit west, Mojave, Navajo, Apache, all of that area. So that's really the reservations. So let's look at just, for instance, LD1. This is most of Yavapai County, and a little bit north of Maricopa. This condensed area here is Phoenix. I don't know if you can see my arrow on the map, but this is northern Maricopa, probably Anthem, that area. You go up I-17 and here's south of Flag, and that's this whole area here. That's Selena's district. I mentioned Legislative District 5, and that's this whole western area along the border. I mentioned 6, that's Felicia's, and that's this district right to the right of, to the east of LD1. And so she's in Page, she's in Pine Top, she's in Strawberry, some of those areas, and kind of goes around Flag and up a little bit north. Navajo, Gila, Yavapai. And then Legislative District 7 is this whole reservation area up in northeastern Arizona. So if you're in Chapter 5, you are in one of those districts. And it's important for you to know your district, and it's important to know who your legislators are in your district and who is running again. And then when you go to the AzNA website and see who we have endorsed, you will be able to see in your district which legislators or candidates, I should say, candidates for the 2020 election that we have endorsed. So those are the folks that you want to support, and tell your friends and everybody else. Okay, so does that help? Any questions?
Actually, I do. Boy, that was I love that. This is Kim. That was really good. I do have a question right away. You know, you talk about supporting nursing issues, Colleen and Carol.
Yeah.
So here we have two very polar opposite candidates. You have a Democrat and you have a Republican. How are you, I think you know my question. How are you kind of fixing that?
Well, the PAC has taught me so much personally, Kim, and what it's taught me is that no matter which party I affiliate with, there are so many topics that cut across the boundaries. And so when we endorse, we are nonpartisan. We are not just bipartisan, we've also endorsed independents. So the way that happens is our focus is on healthcare. It's on beliefs about how healthcare should be delivered, what policies should be supported regarding vaccines or Medicare expansion or postpartum depression or whatever the legislation is. That becomes our focus. So Selena and Felicia may have very different positions about topics that are outside of healthcare. And as a healthcare PAC and supporting AzNA, our focus is, you might say, very narrow. It is healthcare. So we focus on that, and then we also focus on the viability of our candidates' campaigns. So Felicia lost by only a very small amount, like 500 and some votes in 2018. And that's very, very close. I mean, I kicked myself down the block and back thinking we could have raised 500 votes. However, that positions her to be a very strong candidate this go around. Selena is a newcomer, and she had a lot of competition, but yet she's highly organized, and she's a nurse, so she's going to be accepted. She's in in a Republican district.
Right,
So
right.
he has a good chance. Felicia's also in a Republican district, but it's turning purple. So we do talk about those sorts of things. I don't know if that answered your question or not.
It did actually. Thank you. And I mean, you know, there's just so much out there, and yeah, it did. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, I think sometimes it's frustrating because I look at candidates and I want to look at their whole picture. You know, I want to look at everything they represent. But for the PAC, my focus is just on healthcare, health-related issues, blah, blah, blah. And we endorse based just on that. We don't consider their position on gun rights or their position on abortion, or we don't even look at all that. I mean, that would be way too much. Individual voters, yes, they should do that, you know, but if I'm a registered nurse, it would be really hard for me, even if I disagreed with a nurse candidate who had a position on Second Amendment that I disagreed with. It would still be hard not to endorse a nurse, because when it comes down to it, we are nurses for a really important reason, and that's to improve the healthcare of Arizona.
Right.
Arizonans, you know.
Yeah. You know, I did have one more question, if I may. When you talked about that the PAC is really focusing on healthcare in Arizona and you know, health and wellness. The second question I have pertains to nurse legislation. So I know, and we talked briefly, but earlier, there are certain Arizona revised statutes that are not nurse friendly. And are you also looking at candidates to address those issues as well?
That's a really good question. And I'll go back just referencing several slides ago. So our work, and this is where we align with AzNA. If AzNA is addressing that, then we're addressing that. So AzNA's position and choice of health policy is what drives us in our vetting of people. So we don't create, write, or generate health policy, but AzNA does. Yeah. And they actually support original legislation, like the whole advanced practice, scope of practice work that AzNA did.
Yeah. So thanks for your questions, Kim. If there are others, please pipe up and you know, I'm not seeing the chat box, but maybe one of you are, and please jump in. So we thought we just wanted to present a little bit about the PAC and who we were, but then we wanted to spend more time in conversation about what can you do, and what can you do to help, number one, get the 2 nurses elected, and what can you do for those others in your district that that the AzNA has endorsed based on our health policies. I think it's important. If we could do that, then we could get every legislative bill, every statute, everything in favor of what nurses believe is the right thing for our patients. So it's kind of, that's the ideal. So we listed here a couple things that you can do to help these campaigns as well as other candidates in your district. One of those is canvassing from the couch. And I have to tell Colleen and you all, Colleen knows all about it because I bragged and bragged. I participated in that. And I'm going to see if I can go to the Facebook page and show you where I did canvassing the couch. So what I did was I did canvassing from the couch. I'm not finding it, darn it. Where is it? Nope. Not finding it. Let's see. And for Felicia French, okay? And it took 2 hours of my time. And there we go. Let's see if you can see that. Nope, sorry. Not sure how to do that. Okay, well, I won't go there. Anyway, now I can't get back to my other one. So I was, 2 hours of my time, I signed up to do it because I wanted to know what it involved and what that meant. And I signed up. The next thing I go, I get an email and says, sign on to this Zoom meeting. They spend 20 minutes to tell you how you need to canvas from the couch. And basically canvassing from the couch replaces door-to-door knocking. Okay, so you've all heard about elections, been in elections, you know, voted in elections, and you've always had people at your door knocking, leaving flyers, you know, vote for me, right? Well, this canvas from the couch kind of came from the, you know, coronavirus situation where we're isolated and we can't go door to door. People are not going to open their doors to strangers. So what they do is they call people, and I called about 48 people in an hour and a half. I actually talked to 11 people, and I found 6 people who were in support of Felicia French's campaign. But I also had the opportunity to educate those others that I talked to on who she was and the fact that she was running for that campaign. And you don't have to know her stance on guns, or you don't have to know any of that. All you have to know is she's a nurse, she's trusted, she's in that trusted profession. She wants to do what's right for Arizonans and their health care. That's all you need to know. Trust me. I thought at first I had to go review her website, get her positions on everything, be well educated, be well prepared. No. Half of the calls, more than half the calls, in fact, 90% of the calls you make during these 2 hours of campaigning, you get hangups. So it was like, whoa, that's a surprise. I can do this all day long. But the point is, her campaign has figured out that they have to reach 20,000 voters. And if they do, and they reach them and they talk about her name and what she's running for, then it's very possible that that voter will go vote for that, for Felicia French in the polls. So that's kind of how canvassing from the couch goes. And it's just fascinating, really. And so I would encourage people to do that if you wanted to, because it's just a very easy thing to do. It's very, let's see, let me go back to my slides. It's very not time consuming at all if you have 2 hours to spare. Most of us are at home in isolation, so it's a good time to do this. And all you have to do is let Felicia French know you want to do that. That's all you have to do. So that was one of the things that I think Chapter 5 can do. You can attend rallies and activities, even though now many of those are virtual. I know Selena Bliss had a lot of parades she wanted to go to, but that didn't happen. Some of the parades are being canceled as time goes on. So, but she did have a function where she showed up giving out donuts and coffee and talking to voters. So that worked. And as Arizona opens up, there'll be more opportunities for these candidates to get out. And those are functions that you might attend. Put a yard sign in your yard. Kim, you said you put one in your yard, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And you know, also this is something that you talk about canvas from the couch. I wanted to ask your guys' advice on. So I reached out to my church, and you know that separation between church and state thing? I ran into that.
You did?
And yeah, and I think it's just because, especially with the Catholic Church, there's that, I don't know if you've ever seen the wolf in sheep's clothing, but you know, you just got to be real careful. And I contacted the church manager, and he's like, you know, we really can't have candidates here. So that was something I ran into right away, which was a bummer. Do you have any advice on that, or really nothing?
Well, I applaud you for trying. That's great. And yeah, some churches are going to be that way. And I don't think I've ever actually given much thought to going to my church to talk about my candidates. But I'll tell you where I will go. I'll go to an HOA meeting, or I'll go to a local congressional or legislator speech of some, or a high school, or even though we're not in session, there might be virtual. I mean, when I interviewed one of the candidates for the PAC, I found out that he was having a virtual town hall. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And I said, well, can I come? He goes, heck yeah, come. So you can Google, those legislators in your district, find out when they're having virtual town halls, and then you just show up. You get your face on Zoom, you get your name on Zoom, you get to say, hey, I'm a nurse. What's your stand on healthcare? What do you believe on vaccinations? This is important to us, and it's important to your constituents.
Right.
That
right.
kind of thing.
Okay.
I'll also add, Kim, as a leader in a big corporation, we also could not endorse individuals. However, I found that what I could do, and this worked, and it was easy because I believe it, and that is that the professional nurse is a political nurse. And so I talked in terms of the importance of knowing, reading, listening, registering to vote, working for candidates, checking the website of AzNA, know what your nursing profession is doing and supporting. So it was a little more generic, but it was putting the responsibility on them to get involved. And I didn't have to tell them who I supported, but I could just say, take a look at AzNA PAC and see who's being endorsed and learn yourself. So that I was able to do that without crossing the line, but invite people to go to Selena or Felicia's events, I could not do.
Right.
Yeah. But one thing every person can do is, I'm sorry, one person every person can do is talk to 10 family and friends that are living around them, that are in their district, and say, Mom, you have to vote for this person. Dad, you have to vote, Uncle Jim, you have to vote for this person.
Yeah. I send our endorsed list. We have an endorsed list, and you've got 4 LDs in your chapter. So you could send the names that we endorsed around to your members and ask them to do something with it, or talk about it, or highlight it. So we'd love to know what you think about the things that you could do as a chapter, knowing that your geography is huge,
Yes.
But you've got a pretty interesting group of legislative districts.
You do.
And we have names in each district. Oh, wait a minute, we don't. And if we don't, it means whoever's running was not supportive. So if somebody's missing, it's because they were vetted and deemed to be not in alignment.
Oh, okay.
Colleen and Carol, this is Rose. I've been just listening to see, because as a VA employee, okay, I'm also a recruiter here at the VA. I have to be very careful about how I deal with the political environment of this situation. Okay, so I have to be very apolitical or non-political, right, or non-partisan, okay, with this. So that's why I decided to have this educational session as an education of how the PAC works. And then the next step would be how do we meet the candidates, okay? But not to endorse a candidate, but just to where the information is about the candidates.
Mhm.
And then that could be placed in our website. And then they have the opportunity, like for for June 17th, I believe, from 5 to 6, where we decided that we would have a session, opportunity for our members to meet candidate Selena, and then to meet Miss French to be determined, whatever we get that date. But that can be posted in our website, and people can refer to that and get information.
Right.
Yeah. And so they can find out more about it, and then they could see what their interests are. Because I can't, as a VA employee, I can't endorse any one candidate or anything like that.
No, but you could put a yard sign in your yard. You could tell 10 of your neighbors. You could tell 10 of your family. You could tell 10 of your nurse friends outside of work, probably.
Correct.
If you socialize with them on a, different kind of venue. So, those are the things that you can do, but understand, yes, the work environment is very important to nurses, and we don't want to, have someone feel uncomfortable because of that.
Right.
Yeah, the VA, I mean, we have the whole thing with Hatchet Act and everything and all that. The VA is huge with that. But you are right. And this is what we needed to educate ourselves and what we can or cannot do. And so those are the things, And then how do we get those signs, and how do we access those signs, and where do we get more information? Like we'll have a question and answer thing with Selena, and we like to kind of coordinate also a question and answer with Felicia as well.
Yes. Right.
And how to deal with that, and where our members, like maybe our retired members, they have more time and they can maybe do some canvassing from the couch type thing. And they're not associated with anyone.
Facebook, Rose or Kim or anyone on Facebook?
No, I got off of Facebook, but what I was going to say for the members that are going to be watching this video later, we can leave an email. They can certainly contact us, and I can tell you exactly what I did. So I contacted Selena for those members who are interested in putting up signs in their yard. I contacted Selena, and she had my address, came right over with a hammer, and she put the sign right in the yard and just tapped it right on in. And it took maybe 5 minutes. And so I have 2 nurses in my neighborhood, and her sign is right there. So it's a conversation piece, oh, hey, Kim, who's this Bliss person? Oh, well, let me tell you, because I'm, and so,
Great.
And that's what I did. So for anybody who's interested, we can certainly, you can go to the AzNA website, and we will make sure that we post an email or something. Maybe Wendy can help us. We'll have something there for you, and for our members.
Great. And I think,
and then I would like to have a whole section on our website, Kim, of all the different ways we can help. Listing all the different ways we can help, and then where to get the resources that we need, whatever. So make it available to all the folks that have the time and are willing to help and have and want to support this issue, and why it's important to support this issue.
Do you have emails for all your chapter members?
I'm sorry, you cut out on me. What was that?
Do you have emails for your chapter members, and that's how you communicate with them? Okay.
Yes.
Yes, and we thought that we'll be disseminating more and more emails to AzNA listservs, but we have to be careful because that's AzNA and we're the PAC, okay? But if you're an individual chapter and you're sending it out to your membership, then that's good. And you can say, hey, there's political action committee information on this website, blah, blah, blah.
Okay. Now we also, I know how to fiddle with the website as well. So, you know, we can maybe put a link there to the PAC. So for information, right? So whatever you ladies, I can collaborate with you and, you know, Rose, how does that sound? Does that sound like something you wanted all the resources there? Does that sound like something that's doable?
It sounds great. Also, I was looking at the AzNA website and then it does explain, you know, the political, the political principles that AzNA supports. So it really conveys, and it, and the professional, and then that's what, also the PAC supports that through AzNA policies. The there was a name for it, now it escaped me, but it lists all the issues that AzNA supports, and it does give you an idea of how legislation comes into play, and for legislation not just for the patient, healthcare delivery for the patient, but also for the nurse, for the professional nurse, to support that professional nurse in his or her growth of the profession, which that's where you can come in, lead into the idea of legislation also for nurses, not just for the healthcare delivery, to protect nurses.
Excellent.
From that point.
I just want to add at the end, one thing every nurse can do is donate money. I mean, I hate to sound like a broken record, but the PAC needs funds to support our candidates that we endorse. And how we do that is sometimes we give them money to make their yard signs. Sometimes we use money to hire the web social media person to support them in the social media platforms, by posting and posting and posting. So the PAC needs money, and if the campaigns need money and the PAC needs money. So we don't care, as long as somebody gets some money. I mean, it costs money to run an election, and you all know that.
And Carol, where would we send that? Is there a spot online where we can do a credit card, or how would we do that?
On the AzNA website, there's the PAC page that has a donate function.
Okay.
We'll also send you the link directly. And one thing we're doing this year, and we learned it from the CRNAs who are so successful with their PAC. We learned that it's the recurring donation, whether it's $5 a month or $10 a month. So we're really making a push for recurring donations, and we'll send that link to you. And as you know your chapters, so the way that you disseminate the info, you do that the way you know best. We'll just be so available to you for more information or clarity, or getting on a call sometime, whatever helps you.
Okay.
Will help our nurses. And just FYI, today is the day the candidates that we endorsed are getting their congratulation letters.
Oh.
So
they should be listed on the website.
So tomorrow or the next day, we will be able to send you exactly who got endorsed in chapter 1 and 6 and 5 and 7. And I'm recalling that I think one of your LDs did not have an endorsed candidate, but I want you to make sure you can understand why.
Right.
And it means they were all vetted, and it's not a supportive setting. So we're very selective. Still, we'll probably end up endorsing about 60 people for the primary out of 180.
Can the PAC use any volunteers?
Oh yeah, the PAC,
Okay.
the
Always.
volunteers.
Okay.
We can, and we know that nurses throughout the state want Selena and Felicia to win. So even though they're not in their district, we have nurses coming from Phoenix to support them. We actually have a lot of interest in the larger picture, you know, of getting a nurse in the House and the Senate.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not in Felicia French's district. That's LD6. I'm in 18, but I spent 2 hours canvassing for her. So, you know, you don't have to be in the district. I really want her to win. So I thought 2 hours of my time was very important to spend to get her to win. And I probably need to do about 40 hours or 80 hours.
Right.
And how did you identify those phone numbers, who to call again?
It was all given to me from her campaign committee. And what I did was just contact her. I actually found the information on Facebook because I'm a Facebooker. And I saw the information. I said, well, you know what? I want to do that because I want to learn about it. So it was kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. I wanted to learn myself what it was, how do you do it? And I just signed up, and next thing you know, I got an email, and I was linked in and committed and did it. So that's why, you know, I understand not everybody's on Facebook. Colleen is not on Facebook. I'm on Facebook. So Facebook is not the end all, but I will tell you as an anecdote, I heard today on the radio on NPR that Facebook has really gone bizarre during this coronavirus. I mean, the amount of travel and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been quite phenomenal. It's increasing significantly. And, you know, I understand, but we're going to try to help you all in Chapter 5 by sending you information that you can disseminate by email.
Yeah. And Rose?
And I suppose I can, you know, when I'm off work site, whatever, I can probably do some canvassing from the couch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, on a day off.
Well, you do it your own time. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. You can do that. That's legal.
Yeah, it's my own time, my own private time.
Yes.
Right.
You know,
exactly. And you're not representing the VA. You're representing yourself.
I'm representing myself. That's right. As a nurse, as a professional nurse, RN. And then see, what I found that was really interesting was the public policy agenda that on the AzNA website. And it does explain the health principles. And that's really what AzNA is based on, and that's what PAC supports. And also explains the professional practice and workforce principles, which then goes into the legislation type thing, Nurse Practice Act and all that, and modifications to it. And that's what both candidates are supporting when they are being endorsed by AzNA PAC.
Yeah, and one's a Republican and one's a Democrat. But
right, but they're both supporting those principles.
Which is how we can have a diverse group of people. And Rose, something you can do for us is, I know that you have chapter president meetings, and chapter 5 is you're the first chapter that we've spoken to. But we plan to talk to the other chapters and let them know what's going on in their LDs and who their folks are and what would they like to do. So Rose, if you could share a little of this experience when you have your next chapter president meeting with Selena. Now there's somebody that has to walk a fine line, right? If you could do that, it would be helpful because we'd like the other presidents to get excited about this as well.
Okay.
Would really appreciate that.
Okay. No, yeah, not a problem. And also we'll have a Arizona State Legislature corner in our website.
Perfect.
And this is how you can support. This is how you can support and given all the ideas. And then we will have another meeting soon of our chapter meeting, so that maybe bring in, invite more people, and that maybe we can just send them an email, individual emails for them to participate, please, or just go into our website and just look at the information that's out there.
Yeah, Rose, I can at least empathize with you. I've been a chapter president before. I was nurse educator chapter president for a while there. And, it's hard reaching out to your members, but we had emails galore. And, I don't know that anyone has really got sick of our emails. We just kept disseminating the information. If you want to learn about your legislator, go to this, blah, 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 go to this, just send out the email, send out the communication, and, I'm sure you're going to reach some people. I mean, I don't know how many, I think Chapter 5 might have, how many members? 2,000? No.
It's like 300, and if Jen was here, 300 and something.
You've got a lot of nurses in your.
Yeah, you've got it on there.
In your geography, yeah. Thousands of nurses.
And they're all disseminated all over Northern Arizona, which is fine, but they need to get communication. And many of them, I think, are on email and Facebook, and that's probably the two venues that are the greatest. I mean, the best.
Yeah.
So,
have you run in with any issues with this NNU? I know that, like Selena said it to me so eloquently. She said, and I myself got confused. And for those members, there's a difference between the professional organization and a union, right? And
there is.
I think that there's so many nurses that are so frustrated with working conditions and things like that. So have you had any issues with run-ins with NNU? Are they going to support candidates? Have you heard anything? I did go to one meeting, and there was about 8 people. All the nurses were from St. Joe's. This was about 5 months ago. And they did have a Phoenix representative there. I forgot her name. But yeah, so I was just wondering if you can elaborate on that at all, if anything.
Well, as a PAC, we've not run into NNU, but in AzNA, there are discussions about Healthcare Rising, which is a group that has some pretty slick marketing, and they're the ones that are talking about surprise billing. And I don't know if you've seen any of they're putting a ballot initiative forward. They have to get enough signatures, a couple 100,000. But in that ballot initiative, which is to eliminate surprise billing, if you're a patient and you go to the hospital, you get a bill from somebody that's not on your plan, and it's a surprise bill. And they've got other things that they're promoting, but hidden in the ballot is a 5% raise for all healthcare workers at all levels, across the board, the entire state, 3 years in a row, which there's not a single rural hospital that could ever survive that. Mm-hmm. And it's known as a cover-up kind of effort to slide some very legitimate things on a ballot, like surprise billing, but tuck in other things that are very union driven. Mm-hmm. That's the only kind of heads up warning that we've had. But that's not really as much the PAC as it is AzNA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember in the 90s when I just graduated, they were really pushing that. And I almost bit that worm.
Yeah.
and learned. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and they're not really focused on our state races necessarily. They're really more, at least the NNU is more focused on federal congressional races and things like that. They getting behind those candidates. So we'll see. But anyway, I hope that was helpful.
Yeah,
And
you've been just awesome, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Thank you for
thanks
your
for
professionalism.
clarifying. Thanks for clarifying all these items, because it's all new to me too. This political aspect of it's all new to me, and I want to learn more about it, and I want to experience it, and I am gonna, whatever that I am able feasibly to do that is not conflict of interest for me, I will do to support these candidates, because I think their work is valuable to our nursing profession.
Well, I think what you can do, Rose, and your words are very inspiring. I think what you can do as a chapter leader, you and Kim and your other leaders, is you can figure out what is going to appeal to your membership, what's realistic, what all can you do. It won't be one thing. Different things will be attractive to different people. And what I've learned about work is that any work on candidacies or politics you need to do on off work time, and you're working as a chapter president, not as a leader, for an organization like the VA. And once I figured that out when I was with Banner, once I figured that out, what the line was and what the words were I needed to use, I was so much more comfortable talking about politics and the role of the professional nurse without ever mentioning a party or a candidate.
yeah, good point.
Correct.
And it helped me in a leadership role.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's where I go. That's where AzNA can help us out with all their principles and stuff towards nursing and healthcare delivery.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because joining a professional organization is not a political event. It's a professional event. And
I like that.
There may
It's
be
a professional event.
It's a professional event. And joining AzNA PAC by becoming a donor member is something you would do as an individual. You wouldn't do it as a VA employee, which is exactly why the VA can't donate to the PAC.
Correct.
They can't, they wouldn't, and either would Banner. But a lot of people I know would, so.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's where it comes in, and that's why I had the introduction of where a membership with AzNA, where you can make your RN voice count.
Yes, right.
Because as an organization, that's why I gave that little introduction, because I wanted the members to understand that as an organization, they can group together to improve their work environment, or to help enhance their professional and protect their professional their profession or their license. That's the way they can work for their own professional growth versus working in the organization that they work for, because the organization is going to only support what makes the facility reflects well on the facility. It may not necessarily coincide with the workers.
Yes, I understand. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the intent is like, oh, what does AzNA do for me? What is AzNA? What's the membership of AzNA do for me? Because we were trying, as a chapter, we were trying to find out and survey what do our members want so that we can engage them into that. So this is an ideal opportunity to engage those members, to let them know and educate them that this is what an association can do for you.
Right. Right, for
that
all our
make
members
sense?
and that's great, Rose, because that was a conversation that the board members have. And for all our members who watch this video, you know, we all need to get involved. And the four of us as your board have been very involved as much as we can. And I know there's not been a lot of events, but we're looking to you to really go to the AzNA website, the PAC website, which is on there, and really look at these candidates.
I think I was able to share my screen on Facebook, and this is the Political Action Committee Facebook page. You can see, can you all see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the PAC Facebook page, and on it we have posted things. You'll see by Neva Farmer. She's our social media person. She's posting things about the candidates that we've endorsed, and she'll be posting more about all the other candidates. But here's a thing about Selena. I think there's something here about there's Selena, and thank you to healthcare workers. I think there's something in here about Felicia's campaign. There's my post. I talked about doing my first canvas from the couch, supporting Felicia's campaign. So there is quite a bit on Facebook about our political action committee. So, you know, disseminate it to your members. There may be a lot of rural Chapter 5 members that have access to Facebook, and there's a lot of communication on here about these candidates, and will continue to be. So,
how about LinkedIn? Are you in LinkedIn?
Yep, LinkedIn too. I don't. Well, that's a good question, actually. I'm not sure the PAC has a page on LinkedIn, because it's typically individual professionals.
Oh, okay.
That's
right.
That one, yeah.
But this is where you can disseminate this to your members and ask them to share it with their group, their friends. Carol and Neva Farmer are really experts at this. I am not, but I'll sure support it.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much. I think this was very, very informative.
A lot of your time. We appreciate it, Kim.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you for all Chapter 5. We're going to hope to reach out and reach all of you, all of your members, and get this information out. I did mention to Colleen this morning that we would send you the PowerPoint, which I did, Rose, already, but I'd also send you a little blurb on how to find your legislator, how to find your legislative district, how to find your candidates, how to find information on candidates. And I'll just embed that in the next email, and I'll probably do that tomorrow. Okay.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you, ladies. Okay. And we'll work on that website and keep it updated and stuff. Thank you very much.
Take any of that information and add it to your website.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Okay. And let us know also when we have the other candidate, the forum for the other candidate, which is Felicia.
Yes, we're thinking it would be in July.
Yeah. In July? Okay.
Felicia does not have a primary. She has no competition for the primary.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So she's in the general. So we know Selena's got to win that primary first.
Okay.
If Selena doesn't win the primary, she won't be on the ballot in November. So that's why the focus is kind of on Selena right now. But Felicia, she knows that she's got a critical race. And even though she's unopposed in the primary in August, she's going to be really opposed in November. So we want her to win in November. So that's
Okay.
how it works.
Great, thank you.
Oh, okay. So
Rose,
that's
would you like to call the meeting to
I
adjourn?
will adjourn the meeting at, what time is it?
17:24.
17:24.
Yes,
Meeting
ma'am.
adjourned.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Good
Bye.
night.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate it.
Bye.